Yeah. Should we end like last time on Leroy Sané and what to do with him? Because
The weekly Leroy Sané corner.
yeah, I mean, he's just such an interesting topic. You know, I think it's a difficult one, right? Because he comes off a form crisis or injury crisis, and he's really struggling with his form and because of physical problems, and so it is hard to judge a player. But I mean, he's been having these troubles for a while now, and when I see him play, I made this comparison, and this might sound a little odd for some people. He reminds me a little bit of Lucas Podolski in that there's a lot of skill set there, and there's a lot of really great abilities there that can make him a dangerous player. But it just doesn't quite seem to come together, and it doesn't really quite seem to always work in a team setting like Germany play. I posted the today on Blue Sky. I posted the graphic from Opta on how Germany scored their final goal against Bosnia, and every single player was involved in that, right? So it was a quick passing up the pitch play, and it's just I just find it fascinating that at times I feel like Leroy Sané gets a little lost in the attack when he does things, and he's in a really big season at the moment for his personal development and where he's gonna go. And he's on this massive contract at Bayern that we discussed in the show after the Bosnia game and where that's going to go. But I think he's also kind of has to prove himself right now for this Germany team, because even if he's fit, I'm not sure he's actually an automatic starter in this team anymore.
This is Leroy Sané, of course. You're still talking
Mm,
about, yeah. My thing with Leroy Sané has always been that he's one of these players that if he's only 85 or 90% fit, he actually looks about 50% fit. He needs that full 100% fitness to be at his sharpest. He's a player who relies on his explosive pace, his touch, his ability to kind of, you know, drift by defenders with ease. And you just can't do that unless you are 100% fit all the time. And unfortunately, he's just a player who just racks up far too many injuries. And I think we forget in the modern game that just because a player's come back from an injury, it never means they're actually 100% fit. And more often than not, they can actually take 3 or 4 weeks to get back to their full fitness. They need games to get back to full fitness, so it means they have to sacrifice a few. And hey, maybe Sané, Bayern, and Germany and Nagelsmann agreed that, like, yeah, we'll use these 2 games to kind of build his fitness back up. And in 5 or 6 weeks, we might be talking about how Sané looks back to his best because he has managed to kind of get back to that. But the problem with Sané is that there's always another injury over the horizon, unfortunately, for him. We saw last season, I thought, the very best of him when he played alongside Harry Kane, almost as a number 10 or as a second striker. I think that's his best position. I think there's a kind of it's very easy to kind of play him out in the wing and then kind of assume that he's a winger, when I actually think he's more of an inside forward. He's a player who likes to get to the box, likes to play 1-2s, which he does tremendously well with Harry Kane, or at least did last season. So it'll be interesting to see where Vincent Kompany plays him now that he is kind of back and fit. But the problem for Germany, and indeed for Bayern Munich, is that the best player in Germany plays number 10 for Bayern Munich and for
yep.
Germany, which is Jamal Musiala. And one of the big issues with going into the summer was that, if Bayern want Musiala to sign a new contract, there's just no way Vincent Kompany's pushing him out left to accommodate Leroy Sané. So I suspect we'll probably see Sané kind of staying out in the wing. Hopefully gets back to his fitness and hopefully kind of looks back to his old self. But the unfortunate thing is he's just not a reliable player that you can hope to play 40, 50 games a season and rack up, 50 goals and assists, and certainly not a player that you can rely on for Germany as well. So we'll need to see what happens with him in the future. We talked about it on a recent show in terms of what we do next with, or not what we do next with Sané, but what Bayern do
Hmm.
next with Sané and what he does next himself. It'd be nice to see him kind of get game time, but it really relies on his fitness and whether he can kind of stay fit. And I know that sounds like a bit of a cop of an answer maybe, but that's really what it comes down to. When he is fit 100%, I think he's a great player, but it's just so rare.
Yeah.
And I think we're now getting to this point now where Germany and Bayern don't really need him anymore. And that's the worrying thing about it all, I suppose.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's such a fascinating story. I think one that we probably we'll have to come back to. And also, the Musiala numbers are slowly but surely getting leaked. Contract until 2029, a package of 120 million euros altogether. He's getting paid. Oh my God. Deservedly so. But when that happens, we'll probably break that down in depth